Alrighty, so yeah, me and Jack were just going through this video that was or this mind map that I was working on the other day.
Yep.
But basically, the part that we want to potentially change is this like Dex and learning token element,
Yeah.
and basically have that replaced with an NFT. Actually, Jacques, you can probably explain it. It's your idea.
Well, no, yeah, it would really just be like a certificate at the end of completion. So like you have, like Jill, you put the kind of like the outline for a curriculum together.
Yes.
Once a student kind of completes that, they'd be able to like purchase, they'd be able to get it for free if they want to just say like I did this course, but if they want to have like a verification of their course, they can purchase the NFT, and then like the proceeds of that NFT can go into the pool then.
I think that's really smart. So then we have basically, yes, sub DAOs of, so like my question in the email was talking about creating subdomains of the School of Bitcoin, but I think we've come to the conclusion that's probably the wrong thinking. And what we want to do is sub DAOs of the main decentralized autonomous education system. So like the School of Bitcoin is the top DAO, Stax ANZ is a sub DAO, and we can reach out to the other Stax communities to create their own sub DAOs of the School of Bitcoin, fitting into that pool. And then if you've seen the rest of that video, it's basically us with a multi-sig Bitcoin address that I think we can do 15, so 15 signatures with a ledger and something else. So we can look at setting that up. We could probably even do it with software, I reckon. But yeah, so basically, if you imagine like all 15 people in the community having to turn their keys to say yay or nay for whatever projects we want to fund. And that's the part I was thinking how we incorporate Lightning. So basically the learners have a Lightning address. So we set them up with that. We use Wallet or Satoshi to actually fund whatever projects that they want to work on, or curriculum upgrades that they want to do. So for example, like Jill, you've put a lot of work in, and I think that everything you've written up is pretty awesome. So it's like, does the community want to give Jill some sats for all the contributions we've done? And then I think probably conflict of interest because you'll be one of the one of the multi-sig people. Yes. But just for example, basically like we go, yes, let's give her, I don't know, 5,000 sats for this contribution, and we all agree, boom, that gets sent out. And the other aspect was the project-based learning. So problem-based learning and project-based learning. So basically, going through this course, there's a problem I want to solve. I want to build this project. I'm going to do a submission to the community, so that goes to us. And then again, we take the rewards from the Stax tokens and use the Lightning network to fund whatever project it is they're working on. So I think funding, but also helping them develop that project as well. So I was just telling Jacques, had a really cool interaction with this guy in the Netherlands yesterday.
Yep.
Who he's got an article up on it's Bitcoin Magazine. I've reposted it to Bitcoin Aggregated, but basically he's a homeless young homeless kid, really.
I think I saw that one.
You saw that one? Yeah.
Yeah, I did. It's got the cool little little sort of character with all the Bitcoin money on him. It's
yes. I
saw it. Yes, I saw that one.
Oh, it's cool.
It's very cool. I
reached out to him.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So tell me the story. Sorry.
So he's like, I was telling Jack, he's like living in an airport and kind of lost everything because of financial literacy, right? He's got into debt, So I reached out and said, look, I gave him some sats, obviously, but reached out and said, look, we're running through some curriculum here in Australia that we're working on the School of Bitcoin that could really help you. And potentially you could, if you run through this curriculum and kind of have an understanding of financial literacy to a certain degree, you could then set up your own project and we could potentially fund it. So it would mean like this aspect here, obviously his problem would be homelessness. How do I resolve that for other people in the Netherlands? I want to create a project around that. So like maybe a community outreach project. And then from there, we all sort of go yay or nay on giving the funds, send it to his Lightning wallet and help him support that. So I think that it was sounded pretty keen. So it was, I think that'd be a really nice way to help somebody with nice and like, I think a sort of visible way that you can, you know, people over the other side of the world can help a homeless kid over in the Netherlands sort of thing.
Can I jump in and ask a couple of questions on something like that?
Can.
So first of all, obviously you're looking at the Stax Foundation grant, but have you looked at other opportunities? Because essentially you're in education. So presumably in America, there's a lot of big grant opportunities with regards to, I'm thinking Melinda and Bill Gates, the education sort of side of things, but there'd be a lot of other funding potential opportunities. Have you thought about those? And also second question is on that sheet down the bottom, which Jacques started for us, there's the 1, 2, and I've started a 3, 4 tab. And the 3 is really how we start mapping out what we want in our blogs. So I'd like to go to that as well. But I think first question is other funding opportunities.
I have actually, but it's other cryptocurrencies. So basically, there's funds from Handshake. So Handshake we're doing some grants. And I thought that'd be a nice ID piece. I actually sent you guys an email this morning. You probably got. For digital portfolios. So I think it's a cool thing to do anyway, I think. So I think that might be something. I know Namebase had some as well, but they've just been bought out by, what's the big one? Trying to think of the name of it. Namecheap. So Namecheap's like one of the big DNS registration systems. They've actually bought them. So they're building out on Handshake as well. So I think that'd be cool. To build something on that. And the other one I was thinking of was GitHub actually do grants as well with something called Gitcoin. And I think that would marry really nicely with, in particular, all the work that Jacques put in. Yeah, that were my two main thoughts around that.
Yeah, absolutely. With the grants, is there anything else that you want me, if you want me to take a look at any of the writing when you get to a point where you want me to look at certain parts, do you want to send me an email and say, this is going in, take a look at this?
For sure. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I haven't actually applied to anything else. So I've only really put something into the Stax community. I thought we kind of focus on that and then others, but I mean, I'm open to anything. Really.
Suggestions?
Like, 100%.
Okay. All right.
It's funny though, like anyone I sort of tell that we're like looking at applying, anyone not in the Bitcoin space or cryptocurrency space, you tell that you're applying for grants, they're like, oh, it's government grants. I'm like, no.
No.
I'd prefer to chew glass.
Yeah. No, the government grants, no. I've done a lot of grant writing in the past. No, the government, no. But I was thinking,
so actually with school, like, and it's so weird because you can have like the best, particularly with government grants, you can have like the best idea, best concept, best thing for your school. Yeah. And if they don't understand it and doesn't tick the boxes, it's just like a waste of time.
A waste of your time. And they do take time to put together. So with regards to the blog, I'd really like to start getting some writing, even for example, the fact that we've reached out to the homeless guy in Amsterdam, that would be a great article. Are you able to bring up the Excel sheet that sort of we're working on your screen to share?
I'm on a laptop that's quite small. I'll share the security. I'll make the security share screen. Do one of you guys want to share it? It's probably better on your screens than mine.
Have you got it handy, Jacques?
Yeah, let me pull it up. I got. I'm on my iPad for my screen. Let me see if I can get.
Hang on, I'll bring it up.
Right now.
Hang on one sec.
Actually, this looks pretty good. I can share it.
Looks all right. All right, cool.
Yeah. Be able to see that?
Yeah.
Perfect.
So obviously January and half of February we're sort of working our way through. So I sort of, for week 3, which is really this week, I put in keywords, title tag, meta description, because I'm thinking SEO at the moment as opposed to just going willy-nilly and writing stuff. But I just put in some stuff like thinking about, what an A+ actually means, and are we giving A+ is that financial literacy? Well, actually, no, because nobody really cares about that in school. And then looking at maybe something around that Bitcoin revolution and, from fringe to mainstream type of thing. And then I was thinking, and again, this is me playing with between curriculum ideas and what you would actually like to map out through the year for a blog, because essentially the blog is going to be part of that brand identity that Jacques identified in sheet 1. Do we go sort of to that creator economy? Because if we're all creating on blockchain, and if we're talking about what Web3 means, what does it mean for, doing projects, and how will that change our lives? Play to earn, DAO, we need to bring in countries who are making Bitcoin their currency. And as I was moving through, really, this is just off the top of my head, and I'd be happy for people to go, well, this needs to come before that, or you're going down the wrong track here. But I was thinking to myself, well, a couple of things. Electra's digital Playhouse has actually got some interesting items in their blog already. Do we pull that information in? Also, do other people contribute as guest bloggers for a certain sort of topic? How do we actually want to move this through so that we, again, come back to that brand identity for the School of Bitcoin?
Yeah, I think I'll have to speak to Electra, but I think that's a really good idea. And yeah, I think whoever wants to contribute, definitely. And I think more so to be sort of transparent with what we're doing, and to document so people can sort of follow along with the journey and then contribute where they want. I think it's that was kind of my original thinking around the Substack, and having it like a communication tool that just communicates like what we're trying to do, and even if we're getting stuff wrong, it's out there so people can help us with that and guide us.
Right. So do they sort of look like some of the right topics? Am I on the money, so to speak, with regards to that? Or
yeah,
I think I'm looking for a bit of guidance as to whether that's what you're doing.
Yeah. Sorry, go for it.
So go ahead. Do you want to go, Kieran?
Oh, sure. Yeah, so I think that looks good. I think in terms of it's probably twofold, I suppose, because we've got the curriculum side of stuff and writing about that, but then also writing about the building of the School of Bitcoin, so building of the DAO, but like the stuff that we're kind of talking about in the meetings like today, documenting that and putting that into, instead of just having a video, like sort of taking the key points and writing little parts about that. I mean, I can do that. Well, I can do it, but I think you're much more eloquent, Jill. So it's probably better for you to do it.
Yeah.
And Jill, I'm also thinking that so like what I put up on GitHub now is essentially like a container for how to create a sub DAO, and like the focus of the sub DAO is like the bit entry program. So within that system, one of the aspects is it's like B5 essay. It's for writing like the light paper. And that's kind of like meant to be like a container where we could be like, okay, what are we going to write about on a consistent basis to convey the aspects of this section of the School of Bitcoin? So maybe like if we can round out this, like the sub DAO that the curriculum we're trying to create around like the bit entry program. Let me just pull up that.
Yeah.
Like around all this,
Yes.
maybe you have some focused writing that hits on these points. So and that can give us a little bit more depth to the curriculum that you already started here.
Yes. Yeah.
And I like, so like these would be taught, like whatever, like, I mean, I think I don't, whatever you have here, I'm like on board with, like for the writing topic. But I think if we think about it from the sense like, yeah, we're going to layer this into like the curriculum you already have.
Yep.
It could be a way to keep us focused on the same thing. But yeah, I think all this looks great. I think it would fold in really well.
One thing that came to mind, just looking at the curriculum and like the outline for it, I think the mining and hash rate is something really important. And just looking at all the stuff on Twitter at the moment, there's a lot of people sort of freaking out about the price. And saying, oh my God, it's down or whatever. So they obviously haven't got an understanding of what hash rate means, because the hash rate's at the all-time high. But there's people still freaking out about it. So I don't know where we stick that in, but I think it needs to be somewhere near the start. Like, what is hash rate and why is it important? And like it kind of goes hand in hand with what is money, but kind of not. I don't know. Maybe it's its own thing.
That crypto conversations, maybe like.
Yes.
Like that's kind of like a fundamental, because I feel like it makes sense, like financial literacy and like the economics of money. It's like getting people like mentally geared towards it. And then once you get to the crypto conversations, maybe mining and hash first thing, or maybe we go through terminology. Or maybe that's in the terminology.
Because at the moment, I think I've put it into, if you scroll across, it's on
over here.
It's way across. So I need to move that. And that's exactly what, I need to get that feedback on. So I've got it in the most sort of advanced. What is a hash? Oh, I put hashtag. I think
that's all right.
I think I've meant hash rate. Sorry. Yeah, just like typing in furiously. That's funny. So I'll move.
That's it. I guess hashtags important as well, but
that could be something that kind of carries across, right? So it's kind of like we could explain mining and hash rate in a very simple way, but then like when people get to the
bingo.
They'd be talking about hash rate in a completely different way.
100%.
That's a good idea, actually.
I love that. And the other note I just put them on the left hand side there was the full nodes. So there's a lot of disjointed material online about building like nodes, how to do it, and even people that I know that are really tech savvy have a lot of issues, and there's no sort of concise documentation as to why you would run a full node, how to do it, and these are the steps, and then these are the things you can build on top of that, like lightning apps and that sort of thing. But I think just running that, and it's something that like I've done with students at school, and you can do relatively easily. It's just sort of having the know-how on how to do that, and the why. I think that'd be really important.
I think so.
Kieran, how does does the network hash rate depend on the number of nodes in the network?
No. So it's just the miners.
Right? I was just trying to think of a way to tie it, but like the fact that we're going to be talking about mining and hash rate, building a node could be like the project-based aspect of this. First.
100%. And I think it's something fun for students or learners to do as well. So, for a cheap Raspberry Pi and an old hard drive, you can get set up pretty quickly.
Okay. All right. So what would you like me to do from here on with this curriculum? Do you want me to flesh it out a little bit more? Do you want me to go back to, I could do that, and I could also flesh out, say, even just a first article
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
to get
And
s-
do
yeah.
we want to start? So obviously we're going to do the DAO for the bit entry program, or the sub DAO for the bit entry program.
Mhm.
Are we going to create video content off the bat, or do we want to keep it sort of written for the time being and do that down the track?
I just know personally how I work. I work in such like, it's so cyclical that like I would like to be able to work through till it's like this curriculum is set. We have documentation for, and then essentially like us reading through
Okay.
like the documentation, cloning the DAO, like kind of doing a walkthrough based on what we finish and what we agree on.
Yep. Yep.
I think that would be, I would feel more comfortable with that being the video content. But then we'll have all the commits and all of that, so people will be able to see the history.
Yes.
But no, even today, I was changing stuff as it was going in. So I think, yeah, just the fact that it's going to evolve so much, maybe wait for the video content a little later.
The other
Yeah.
thing, actually, I was going to mention, I forgot to mention, Peter Delmaris, who runs a number of programs, but it's him and his wife head up a homeschoolers program. And they've been to our school and visited, really nice people. Anyway, they have gone through all of our stuff that we have online, and they're quite interested. But they have a lot of stuff they want to contribute as well. So in particular, I've shared the white paper 2.0 as well.
Yep.
So they're going through that. They want to make it as easy to comprehend to people as possible. So I'm like, awesome. That'd be fantastic if you can help with that. But number two, he's quite good at video development. So he said that's something you need. I agree. As soon as you go to like the website, have an explainer video, something that people can wrap their heads around pretty quickly. So I think, yeah, he's more than happy to sort of help out with that. He's going to jump in on Wednesday as well.
Oh,
I think they both are.
Yep.
So you get to meet them, which will be really cool. And actually, they're going to get the kids to help as well, I think, which will be awesome.
Yeah.
And yeah, basically, I was thinking maybe we get him to help us with video content once we run through things as a group.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. A good idea. Yeah, that sounds great. All right. Okay. Do I know what I'm doing?
Through, can I run? Sorry, did you have a question, Jill?
No, go for it.
Can I just show you guys what I was working on with the GitHub? Okay. Okay, so this is like the general structure. Again, this is just like the initial like folder naming and everything, but we can change it as we go. This is meant to just kind of walk someone through how they would come in, either learn from like the bit entry program. This could be like the syllabus, you can think, or it could also be for someone to clone this and create a curriculum of their own. And like the way that the curriculum gets filled out and like I guess the real deliverable of this is like the conceptual design of what your curriculum DAO will look like. Right. And like this came at this from like the construction background. Conceptual design is the earliest aspect of like a building. It's just like, these are the general topics of what we're doing. This is the overall broad outline of the timing. This is kind of like the brand that we're going for with so like, it's just high concepts for all these different aspects. And the deliverable would be kind of like, a clean document where people would be able to it'd be like a presentation where people can clearly present the purpose of like the projects behind their DAO. And the way that they'll work through this is like, okay, what's the actual challenge? So like I saw like the notes you all sent through before about what was it, 46% of Australians wishing they had more financial literacy. That could be like the talent that we're focused on, and like specifically for the Australia and New Zealand's education system. And then the solution that we go through is creating like a bit entry DAO that kind of serves as the bridge, Jill, as you were alluding to.
Yeah.
The bridge between like legacy education and Web3. And then the way that someone does this, and I was like, okay, how do I create a curriculum? How do I create a DAO around all this? Well, then they can really just follow through all the steps that are listed here. So like the first one is like the overall project tracker. And this is like the Gantt chart that I had in the was essentially brought over here. And each one of these is like the same section structure that was in the other place. But now we'll be able to track each one of these as an issue in GitHub. So for example, I created there's like the one section here, V7 Learn, is for the actual concept design for the curriculum. So here we can just load it in what you had, Jill, and here we can have a conversation. We can have an ongoing discussion about what we're doing. People can all over GitHub, like 40 million open source people will be able to see the conversation as it evolves here. But then you can always come back to the project page, and if you're like, okay, I want to understand like what are we doing like B2 media that's all like for the branding. So like, okay, like what's the simple font selection for like the School of Bitcoin, or like this specific curriculum is going to, what is like the actual like what's the copyright going to be like for this? All the way to like so like this is just like this is just like an overall comprehensive structure. And like as people work through each one of these issues, so like let's just again like we'll come here. So as we work through, when we say that this issue is closed, that will be the School of Bitcoin saying we have the conceptual design for the bit entry programs curriculum. It is set, and this is what it is. And then once that's set, we will load that metadata from that issue. We'll load it into this overall structure here. This looks like gibberish, but the idea is that this will be a way for us to hold all of this, is like the proof of work, all of the responses from each one of these issues that we track. So like as we go through the mission statement, we'll have an issue, we can track the conversation. As I already discussed, like for the Learn, we'll be able to have a full conversation. So like each one of these is an issue, and then when the issue is completed, it populates each one of these sections here. And then when all the sections are populated, they include a deliverable. So it might be share your mission statement to your Twitter account and tag the School of Bitcoin. Or it'll be, once they get to the essay portion, it'll be share something to Substack about like your process going through this with the School of Bitcoin. So this is just like, again, just like a framework, and like just using the built-in structure of GitHub and like the issues functionality specifically for us to allow people to go through it in a systematic way. And then once they're done, lock it into like a set framework so that other people can kind of like discern what they learned and how they presented their information. So yeah, that's the general structure. So like this is meant to be a way for us to be able to plug in and just kind of house all the different ways that we're kind of like thinking about a curriculum.
So can we start, or should we start running through that now, like as a team for the School of Bitcoin? So basically forking this and then plugging, we've got a lot of it done already, but plugging in like what we have already and then filling stuff out. That's probably the best place to start, right?
I don't know if like maybe we just focus on this, because I think once we get this, my concern is, because this is what I always try to do, like I'll be like, oh, I can do for this and I can do it for that. So then we'll be editing both. And then like, I just think that they get out of sync. I think if we like, okay, let's actually show what it takes to create a curriculum as a DAO. And then once this is done, I'll just be like, that'll be for the larger DAO. And we'll just fork it over, and then we'll just change the values and it'll be done. But I do think as we go through this, we could still keep track of the responses as they would be. Like we go through and say like, okay, this is the response for the bid entry program. what would be the response be for School of Bitcoins? When we do fork it over, we just fill it in and it's already done.
Yep.
Mm.
Yep.
But yeah, I ruminate and I circle back on my own ideas a lot. So I just know circling that I want to be going in two different realities.
Yeah.
It's fun to me, but it's like chaos for everyone else that's involved. So
I'm guilty of doing that all the time as well.
Yeah.
Well, do we think about the certification, like the NFT process from running through this? Like, is that, so say someone forks this, spins up their own DAO for whatever it is, it's connected to the School of Bitcoin, they submit it to us, and then we can mint an NFT. Is that the idea to begin with?
Yes, like within this, like the actual meat of this repository will be the NFT minting dApp. And that's going to be like the B4 portfolio is essentially like what houses the portfolio is going to be like the NFT of the curriculum. So
Okay.
if people fork this, they'll have an NFT minting dApp in the repository right off the bat.
Okay.
And then they'll be able to add their own imagery or curriculums. And along with that will be like the APIs to tie into like our pool.
Okay.
Know? So
that's what I was thinking. Yeah, sorry.
But yeah, I don't know.
So is that so from that part, I'm just thinking the connection to the pool, like you're talking about, like at what part does that communicate with us and give them the ability to buy that NFT, if that's what we're doing for the Stax pool?
The question is, how does it tie to
like this? So you know how we're going through the mind map before, and that part where they sort of they've run through this curriculum, they've created their own DAO. Obviously part of it is NFT creation, but that part where that NFT links back to the Stax pool, how does that work?
So I guess like this repository is like the overall plan and the NFT minting dApp. So I guess this would be like the NFT purchase, and then the funds from this would essentially go to another.
Oh, so it's part of it. Okay. Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Also, like, gotcha. Yeah. I guess this would be like I'm trying to think about it myself. You know, it's still, okay. It's like, I got it. Like, I think it's still pretty conceptual, but like I can, if we start writing it out, I'll be able to like.
You know what we probably need to do as well? Get some Stax tokens and like build an NFT ourselves instead of just thinking about it.
Yeah.
Let's make that a mission, I think, for the next couple of weeks. I know Gordon's got a bunch of Stax tokens like stuck in an exchange. He went and bought a bunch, and it's just like you can't get them out. So I think we should look at getting some, and I might look into that before Wednesday, see if I can get some so we can have a play.
Stax had, I think it was New Year's Eve, they had a minting dApp that they put up. I think I have it here. And I reached out to them and they let me clone it.
Oh, cool.
So this NFT NYC exclusive app, it's super simple. It's just here it is right here. Let me go to it. Oh, there's no image here anymore, I guess. But yeah, it could be like this could be like the main image of the NFT. The button would be people that could purchase it, and then we could have simple information. But we could just clone this, and that would be the repository, and then everything else would just be the background information about like the mission statement and the branding. That's just stuff in the background to like manage our information.
All right, let's do that. Well, let's make that a goal, I think, for the next week or so. I'll buy some Stax tokens, and I'll set up actually I'll buy some, and let's set up a Hiro wallets on the next meeting so people can follow along if they want to do the same thing.
Can I ask a really crazy question?
Figure that out. Yeah.
This is, sorry, this maybe shows my naivety. Is there a Stax Faucet that you can actually use
Good
to?
question.
There is, though. I think, yeah. There is a faucet. I went through a couple courses, and there is a. Are you saying just like where you can get free tokens to test these out?
Yeah. Maybe it's a bit naive because we probably need a few more than what's in a faucet. But I'm just like, I was just like,
yeah.
And maybe that needs to be one of the contributions to the curriculum itself, that in understanding what a faucet is in financial literacy. It's not something we have in the traditional sense. Nobody gives rewards, but then that's whole point of the new liquidity of what we're dealing with. So maybe that's something that actually I develop into the conversations around the curriculum.
Brilliant. Definitely.
I think I might be misunderstanding. What's your concept of the faucet? Because I've used faucets in crypto as like, oh, this is just fake Ethereum to build out a test application. So like
both. So they've got faucets for on-chain and faucets for testnets as well. So it's two things. So like there's still Satoshi faucets, so you can actually go like sign up to faucets and get sats. Yeah.
You
I mean,
for free? Just like
but it's like one sat.
Yeah, but they used to, correct me if I'm wrong, because I think a lot of my knowledge comes through the reading as opposed to the programming, and that's another question I've got for you. But a lot of my knowledge comes through actually just reading, and they did have initially faucets for Bitcoin, didn't they, to get the liquidity into supply and out there. But I think my other question comes in working with you as a group. I need to do some blockchain. I need to be more involved in actually doing some projects. So do I enroll in digital Playhouse courses if they're online? I don't know whether they are. Or where would you point me to be able to develop my knowledge really quickly? I mean, is it Udemy? What would you suggest I do? Because I need to, as much as I conceptually get all of this and I can write and I can be a really strong contributor, I feel I need to actually be playing and actually building and learning.
There was a really good course I saw. Actually reached out to him. I'll have it in my notes somewhere. I'll send it through, but I've found a really good one. It was really concise.
But you know what I'm asking, don't you?
Yeah.
I need to get on board a lot more. Quicker.
Yep. So actually, it's like building out. I think Digital Playhouse as well. I think they're running a few online courses. I was going to jump in the next one actually. I think I messed up the dates, so I was like, I thought it was next week, but it was like the other day. But yeah, I reckon we should probably all jump in with them at some point. Why not? And Jacques, you might have some input on courses that you might have run through. I know you've done a lot of MOOCs.
Yeah, I've started a lot.
Sorry.
That would be good if you could point some courses my way. Specific. I mean, I can go out and do the research, which I'm good at doing, and end up in a different rabbit hole, which would be good, but I need it to be within the remit, I think, of where we're going with the project, so that I'm just developing that strength for the DAO, for the team.
Yep. Definitely. I'll shoot through some stuff, and Jacques, if you can send some stuff as well, that'll be great.
Yeah, I feel like me even just like going through like the Stax documentation would be helpful. I started skimming through it before, but I know that like that would just they have really good documentation, like for Hero Wallet and all that.
All right, that's good to know.
But yeah, my education of it is all so sporadic and all over the place. So that's actually a hard question for me to answer. It's like I don't even know where to start, which is I guess why it's a good thing that the School of Bitcoin exists.
That's why we're building it, right?
Yeah. And I just am aware that I've got lots of gaps. I feel lots of weaknesses. So I just like to, I want to, stack those up.
Well, I mean,
so to
got just weaknesses in like the education front. I have no idea there, so I think we'll all balance each other.
Yeah, that's right. Well, that's the idea. And I think the more minds we get together, the better it is. And it's so interesting, like working on this project. It's really quite altruistic. Like we're all just want to, sort of help help people get an understanding of financial literacy, as opposed to like a profit driven project. Like the projects I worked on in the past, it's kind of like you spend all this money out and try to develop stuff, and you're like constantly trying to think, oh, how am I going to like turn this into money, as opposed to what is money and how do I help other people come to that understanding. It's such a different, such a refreshing way to work on things. But I think with the next meeting, so we've got the homeschoolers jumping in, and you'll really like them, really nice people. And we've got some people from New Zealand as well coming in, and I think actually an educator from America as well, Bob Perlman. So he's pretty famous. He's for years like running education blog. He's done all sorts of stuff with different universities, and really nice guy. So he's I sent him an invite because we are going to catch up. Sent him an invite to the School of Bitcoin. His response was, I've got no idea about cryptocurrency. I'm like, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Come in and you can just give us feedback.
Yeah.
So he's going to jump in, and hopefully Karen, I think, is coming back in as well. And hopefully Ray, the ex-principal from my school. So he's going to jump in, and he's got no idea about crypto either. So
Can I put another crazy suggestion forward as well? I mean, obviously
100%.
we're dealing with total online, everything's online, everything's sort of happening, it's new and it's happening and so on. But I wondered whether, I don't know whether you've come across, I wonder whether you can see that. No, you can't, can you?
Blurry.
Too blurry. Okay. So what it is it's called Big Life Journal. And essentially wellness, positivity, character education, that soft skill layer to education has been a big push over the last 10, 15 years. All the work of trying to think of the big school down in Melbourne, it's escaped me, but and the guys escaped. Sorry, the names escaped me. But anyway, wellness has been a big thing. And I think that next big trend that we're going to see is understanding, like you say, financial literacy. So from wellness came companies that wrote things like Big Life Journal. And essentially what it is they go through and it talks about making a difference in the world, dreaming big. It's very simple in the way that the journal's put together, but basically it helps kids document what they're doing. And I wondered whether, as a project, perhaps not right now, but whether or not we would consider even a journal where you can actually jot down ideas about your projects and jot down ideas about that journey that you go through in, because it's a big conceptual, even though you're taking it all in from your curriculum, sometimes you actually just want to walk away from the computer and have something like this Big Life Journal.
Okay.
So it was just an idea that sort of came to me, and I can put like this company who did this, and there's lots of them around, but that they sell them big through schools and parents buy them, and I think that's potentially part of that marketing strategy, that whilst we're all online and it's all computer based, there's still, I think, opportunity to take those ideas and conceptual understanding into paper format and just make those reflections and documentations about the process. Jacques, you're saying that you keep thinking and thinking, and sometimes when we're thinking and thinking, actually hard, paper is still good with a pen. It's still valuable as long as you're not putting your seed phrase codes down in there. But even still, I think there's opportunity to put mistakes and to journal what not to do on a paper situation. Anyway, it was just an idea.
Brilliant.
I mean,
yeah,
Jill, I think a really cool way to do this is because you create curriculums, you have all these ideas about what would be a good curriculum here. Let's use this entry program to layer in your thoughts here. So even with the first section, B0 mission, there's going to be 3 different books that we can use here about how people can interact with the curriculum. So I think we should just include that book. People are going to be able to clone and create these so easily. So like, let's just show different ways that we can do it. So, I mean, you've already started with like the initial outline of the curriculum.
Yep.
And like, yeah, let's keep layering stuff in here. It's like, let's use this book here with you and to use, like Kieran could choose another book like based on this. So I want to put together, that's going to be another thing I get ready is like the first issue. I want to have like actual questions so that we can fill it out, and then that'll allow us to like populate the metadata. But I think stuff like this, let's just start layering it in and be like, I don't know, let's see what it'll turn into, you know, like it's,
Okay.
I think that
Definitely.
sounds awesome. I love journaling. I think that'll be great. And a way for people to even see that like you can create a DAO in a notebook. Like it doesn't have to be, as long as it exists, like this is the strongest computer that we have on the planet, right? So like if you can write it, if you're writing it in a journal, you're writing it in your mind. And that's like the best computer that you can store your information in. Not the most reliable, but it's
I've got one more idea as well. Crazy again.
Yeah.
You can tell I'm a teacher I was a teacher in the classroom until very recently. So I don't know whether you can see that. It's called the Art of Conversation. And basically, so they're cards. And on the cards, the Art of Conversation is basically lots of questions. One question here is, what are you good at? Another question would be, do you have a dream that you wish would come true? But I'm wondering whether, as part of the curriculum, as part of getting into schools, as part of kids talking about their projects, the Art of Conversation for what we're doing could be a box set of cards about what you know about exactly about the curriculum. You know, what do you know about hash rates? Lots of simple questions, but maybe more complex questions. And just like,
cool.
Just like Trivial Pursuits, it's like pass, can't do that one. And because you like, pastoral care, you know what pastoral care groups are like, or even just when you're teaching with kids in a classroom and you say, give them a deck of cards and go, okay, 20 minutes, you need to, work yourself through these questions, and then let's come back together. Which ones could we do? Which ones couldn't we do? It's sort of game, but at the same time, it's conversations.
Love it. That's a great idea. Yeah.
And I suppose in both of these, what we're doing, again, if we go back to Jacques' sort of framework, is this is branding. It's School of Bitcoin branding in card set, which could be sold on Amazon. I know I'm getting commercial here and we're trying to be altruistic, but I think actually, I think my commercial mind is thinking with this brand is this is a product that if it was sold, then those tokens that presumably would be passed back to the DAO, but then the DAO could actually contribute to. It's an actual legitimate product, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a great idea.
That should be it's the community game for. Let's adapt that game. It's called the Art of Conversation.
Yeah, this box is, but this is just the idea, really. I mean, the conversation, conversation questions on here are not what we would include. Right. But, we can go from like bit entry questions to whatever, advanced questions and make a game out of listening, entertaining, exploring type of thing. I think it could be particularly now. I love
that. That's brilliant.
Yeah, I think it could be a bestseller. $9.99.
And I feel like even if kids could start, or people, just learners could start submitting questions that would be going into the game, that's like a lower barrier to entry way to contribute to the curriculum. If you're contributing to the game, you're adding to the curriculum in some way. You're adding to like.
Yes, I love that. That's a brilliant idea.
That's a good one.
That's cool.
So you do like different editions of the game. So each year or every I don't know 6 months or something, you have like new editions. Students or learners have like upgraded the game. Yeah, I love that. That's cool as.
Yeah, and then you could have different NFT artists in the community designing the cards.
Design the cover and stuff.
Oh, yes, that's great. I love that.
Brilliant.
One. Yeah, yeah.
That's so cool.
These are kind of working right now.
Yeah.
Keep them coming.
That's cool. Actually, yeah. Like, I mean, that could be a really tangible way to onboard a classroom, so or even just a group of friends. So like students who are like, or learners who want to get together and just be like, oh, I got this cool game. I helped develop it. I helped, write some of this. I helped build it.
Yep.
So they have ownership over it. I love that. That's so cool.
Yeah.
And then all of it, like you said, feeds back into the DAO, feeds into the pool, feeds into the multi-sig, which feeds into, creating more projects that learners want to work on. That's such a brilliant idea. Well done.
Good.
Awesome. It's really cool.
Very cool. Very cool. So I think we've given ourselves a lot of work.
Yes. Yeah.
as we tend to do.
Just on that though, I suppose that in itself, that card situation, that could actually be a grant. We could actually probably go to Handshake and develop a grant around something like that.
I reckon the Gitcoin, that might be the one to go for that.
Okay.
Because we'll develop it on GitHub.
Okay.
And then people contributing to it, Jacques, you probably know how to do it better than me, but people contributing to that would do it on GitHub specifically, and then we fork for each new edition. So it's like specifically a GitHub project that we're giving out to schools, or we could even give it out for certain schools or whatever, and have people apply if they want copies of it, and then so do sort of twofold. But I think that would be so cool. But I think that's the one we probably apply for more so than Handshake. Or then there's probably like a myriad of other ones that I'm like not aware of as well. So we should probably do a search for other crypto projects that might want to fund it.
Okay.
Stax might even want to fund it,
I did have one. So I brought 3 ideas. So the journal, the cards. Do you want to hear the last crazy idea?
Please.
Okay. Last crazy idea is to actually take snakes and ladders, and take the concept of snakes and ladders, but maybe, and it might not work, but I was just thinking the board of snakes and ladders, instead of when you've got an up, it could be a coding problem that you solved. When you've got a down, it could be, you've crashed out. That one's not as conceptualized as the other ones, but basically, I think going back to that way of connecting in the classroom when it's not got computers in front of us, how we would get the conversations happening without everybody sitting, coding or looking at hash rates or looking at prices, having those conversations. And snakes and ladders is a concept people just go, I understand the up and the down. And I've seen it done with lots of other things. I've seen it done historically with times, for example, in English history, when there were, battle of whatever, you move forward 2 steps because you've won whatever. And then, something happens, there's famine, and you have to go back 6 steps or something. So I've seen snakes and ladders done in different conceptual ways. And I just wondered whether we could take a very well-known concept and play the game, but move through financial literacy with, I've gone backwards. I've gone forwards, sort of thing. Anyway, that was my 3rd crazy.
I like that. I have to figure out how, like, what's the mechanism of moving up and down.
Everyone,
it could be something there.
If people are submitting these cards, like if that's the other aspect of the game we're talking about, they're at different difficulty levels. Maybe if a card is like, oh, build out this app, and if you do it, you can move forward a certain level. And snakes and ladders, they can, I don't know. I've never actually played snakes and ladders, so I'm gonna have to look.
I did when I was super young, but yeah.
I was a big Payday fan. And sorry.
A big what fan?
Payday. Did you ever play that game? It's like you go through the calendar month, and then you're working towards your payday at the end of the month.
Okay. No, I never played that. I played I played the first person shooter, but that's probably something really different.
Right. Yeah. Cool. Well, I might stick with the art of conversation for now.
I think that's brilliant. I think that's something.
Yeah, this is all great.
Yeah. I really like that. I think that's something that we could really develop and have learner ownership over that. That's genius. Really genius.
Okay. All right. Good one.
And so I put some of these ideas into like these different issues on GitHub already.
Yep.
Jill, I'd like to invite you as well in here.
Great, thank you.
What's is the best email?
J.Margerison, which is my surname, Margerison at iCloud.com.
Oh, also we've got another guy joining us on Wednesday. It's going to be packed. Adrian Mullen, who is put onto me through someone from someone I worked with at the Bitcoin Center a while back on another project, but he's working on a project for students that uses, I'm probably butchering it, but uses AI to teach English, basically, like through a virtual reality sort of web-based platform. It sounds really cool, and we had a Zoom and just started chatting for like over an hour, just about different
fascinating
things that we could do. But he was quite interested in this project, so might be something in that as well.
Good. Yeah.
A lot of cool people.
Yeah, a lot of cool projects. Yeah.
Overwhelming.
Yeah, it is. So many interesting things. And Jeremy's going to join us again as well, I think. So he said he's definitely keen to continue working. I think he's looking through, because I just got a notification. He's wanted to look through the Stax grants again. So yeah, so he'll be joining us as well. So he's built some cool stuff. So I reckon, like the game aspect, he'll really be able to flesh that out with us as well.
And with the Stax current grant that you are going for, is that now at a point where you're ready to apply, or?
I think so. I've sent it through to the team, so they're going to be looking at that. We'll just have to wait till they get back to us. But I think they'll be quite helpful, helping us to sort of whittle it down to exactly what we need. I think the only thing that was missing, that I think we probably all need to get our heads around, is the timeframes for deliverables, and is what, like Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, is that realistic, or do we make it sort of 2 years or whatever? But I think they'll be able to help us with that, so that should be fine. But I think, like with that, like there's the other Stax grants as well. So I think, like what we were talking about earlier, Jack, like having the different DAOs sort of talking to the School of Bitcoin DAO, we could apply for grants specific to that, I think, through Stax as well. And maybe your project, Jill, is the one to do. I think that's something a lot of people resonate with.
I think like good. I was looking back at that because, Jill, when we were speaking, we were talking about like more like the tokenomics, like how are there other ways for people contributing to generate revenue? And there's like a Stax residency program where like it's like they're kind of like you're kind of just embedded in. And if like there's an aspect of the School of Bitcoin that can kind of consult brands that want to come in and create their own house, we could like that could be a way for us to, that would just be charging other communities instead of charging, that wouldn't be charging learners, that would be charging like curriculum creators essentially. But that would still be something that was separate, just a potential other way for us to kind of things.
Just thinking out loud as well, the Kraken team. So I had an interview with them probably about nearly a year ago now. Really cool guy. It was for a application that was like they had a really cool education job on there, and basically got it, and I had that and all these other projects, so I kind of turned it down. But I said, let's stay in touch, because there's so much overlap with what we're doing, and they've got like grants as well, so maybe we approach them, the Kraken team, for that.
That's a good idea. Okay.
I'll find his details and I'll reach out. But in the interim, I'll get us some Stax tokens, and then we can play around with them. I think that's step one. We got to do We probably should have done that like weeks ago. I'll do that today. I'm gonna go buy some, and I'll get it some, and we can make.
And should I just reach out to Electra and see if I can get on one of their courses? Is that a good idea?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Good idea.
Just, I think it's also a good idea because obviously, you know, presumably they've got their own curriculum that they're delivering as part of what they're doing. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you been to any of the meetups at all, Jill?
No.
Bitcoin. Oh, that's definitely worth doing.
Okay.
So in Melbourne, there's heaps. So they do them pretty much every week. So they do like Bitcoin 101.
Okay.
And kind of intermediate things, and run. As a lot of them are just discussions, but you learn a lot. I reckon
Okay.
that's probably worth doing.
Perfect. I'll do that. Yeah, they'll be easy. I'll find some on the Gold Coast.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Probably more so than here.
Yeah, probably they're all down on the beach.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah. Awesome. Oh, this is great, guys. Right. Thanks heaps for jumping in. I think we're really getting somewhere. And thanks for all your not so crazy ideas, Jill. I think they're all awesome. No, this is awesome. Like I think we have a really good structure, or I do anyway in my head.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jacques, because that was the piece that I was sort of missing. Like, how does this connect to what we want to build? But I think that's it. Like, we've got it. It's awesome. Now we just have to build it.
All right.
Very cool. All right. Well, I'll see you guys on Wednesday.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Okay. See you.
Bye.